Tomb Raider and our favorite girl Lara Croft have not been in the best of places over the past few years, and while people were generally happy with the 1 through 3 remastered collection, unfortunately it has been hit with post-release censorship as the new update removes Lara Croft pinups from the lost artifact. I have a few different things to show off, but before we get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description, follow me on social media, and consider supporting through Patreon or through YouTube memberships. Now this, remastered collection has already faced a bit of controversy because we found out that there was in fact censorship when they swore up and down that there was absolutely no censorship in the trigger warnings. But now, of course, we know that that is double a lie because they lied once. We found out that they've actually lied again. It says in the latest instance of a video game developer censoring a released post-launch, a recent update to Aspyr and Crystal Dynamics' recent Tomb Raider 1 through 3 remastered has removed a pair of risque pinups featuring the series protagonist Lara Croft from the third game's expansion pack Tomb Raider 3: The Lost Artifact. And again, this has been a pretty highly regarded remastered collection. A lot of people bought it at launch and were very excited about it, very happy to have Lara Croft in what seemed to be all of her glory. But, the censorship with this game is out of control. It says the two pinups in question, both of which are based on promotional renders made for Tomb Raider 3 proper, can be found hung above her scuba gear locker at the start of the game's 4th level, sleeping with the fishes. They were, of course, very risque pinups, very pretty, and one that she, is topless, laying on the bed. She's only got a blanket draped over her. The other, she's kind of laying in this, paint me like one of your French girl positions. Very pretty artwork, I must say, in the, remaster. But this is a major problem because not only were they created and were they put into the remasters, but they decided to take them out post-launch. It says in the initial release, these pinups could be found on full display in both the Lost Artifact's original and remastered graphics settings. Their appearance in the former admittedly hard to make out thanks to their being composed entirely of pixels and the latter presenting them in their original high-definition resolution. You can still see what they are, even though, of course, they're not in full detail. However, as first reported by users on the Tomb Raider subreddit, following the release of the collection's title update 2.0 on April 11th, these pinups, while still present while playing the game's original graphics, where you can't even really see anything, have now been completely removed from the remastered version of the Lost Artifact. This is a major problem because it's like they thought we wouldn't notice, and it's like they don't care. Unfortunately, over the past few years, this has definitely been a trend with companies where they make changes and alterations, and it's like they think that we're idiots. And luckily for us, we're not, because we were able to very quickly figure out that they were removed. It says in adding insult to injury, not only were the pinups subject to post-release censorship, but the update's patch notes failed and, as of writing, continue to fail to make any mention of their removal, thus effectively leaving players to be blindsided by the change. We've been hearing more and more situations like this where content is censored or ultimately altered post-launch, and censoring content after you buy it should not be legal. I purchased a product, and initially you got the product, right? Because they were in the game up until now. But of course, with this newest update, they removed them and even failed to address it. And the reason why this stings so much is because despite them including this big boot up disclaimer that promises players the games therein would be presented in their original form, unaltered, we know that that is a lie. This content warning appears upon startup. It says the games in this collection contain offensive depictions of people and cultures rooted in racial and ethnic prejudices. These stereotypes are deeply harmful, inexcusable, and do not align with our values at Crystal Dynamics. Rather than removing this this content, we have chosen to present it here in its original form, unaltered, in the hopes that we may acknowledge its harmful impact and learn from it. Now, I, of course, do not think that there is anything offensive within these games, but we know that they had boasted in this disclaimer that they were leaving content in its original form unaltered, but apparently that doesn't count when we're talking about attractive lead characters like Lara Croft, because they have absolutely no problem censoring her. And of course, as seen in the first Tomb Raider game, the series protagonist Pierre had boasted a sports bomber jacket featuring, you know, this pinup style graphic emblazoned on the back. And while, of course, it's a topless woman on the back of his jacket, they decided to, you know, alter that in the collection, the remastered collection. Lady Luck is seen wearing a red bikini instead. And of course, people thought that maybe this was because of an age rating, but these games in this collection were actually rated M for mature. When they originally came out, they in fact were a T for teen, but this collection in totality received an M for mature by the ESRB, and therefore sexuality, nudity would fall under that. So, of course, it's like they just didn't care what people were going to say, how people were going to respond. And it's such a sad situation, right? Because I, of course, over the years in my lifetime have loved Lara Croft and loved Tomb Raider. But unfortunately, just the general direction that this franchise is being taken in now is one that I personally cannot support. I don't want to support censorship. I don't want to support Phoebe Waller-Bridges being, you know, put at the helm of these projects. And that's the next one that I think is going to be a major point of contention for fans of Tomb Raider, because Phoebe Waller-Bridge is helping write the upcoming Tomb Raider Amazon series. And of course, we know there's major problems with Amazon. I even recently talked about Games Workshop versus Amazon, and how apparently Amazon demanded that they add female custodies to the Warhammer lore so that they could put a female in power suit armor in the TV series that they're doing, or that they might not even do at this point if they lose someone like Henry Cavill. But regardless, we know that Phoebe Waller-Bridge is writing this upcoming Amazon Tomb Raider series, and she's even talked about how behind the scenes there's been quite a lot of arguing about who they were going to cast as Lara Croft, because a woman with a big chest would be unrealistic in a situation where she's tomb raiding and she's, you know, squeezing through these tight spots and she's doing all of this action, which of course is absolute bullshit. Lara Croft has a very specific look to her. She's supposed to be a beauty, she's supposed to be a bombshell, and they should be trying to cast a bombshell as closely to what Lara Croft looks like as possible. Angelina Jolie, in my opinion, did definitely kind of fit the bill, and even she actually had to add a padded bra so that her cup size would go up a little bit, so she would look even more like Lara Croft, which is hilarious, but also great because she was willing to do that and had absolutely no problems with doing that. But we know how Hollyweird is now. We know how Hollywood has changed over the years and how companies like Amazon act and how they want to fulfill their DEI quotas, and they don't want to, what they claim is objectifying women and avoiding the male gaze, as they call it, which is absolute nonsense. But unfortunately, if you did buy the Tomb Raider 1 through 3 remastered collection, you should know that it has at this point been hit with post-release censorship. They could come out if there's enough backlash and say, oh, this was actually a big mistake, we didn't mean to remove it, because it's not mentioned in the patch notes. So it's like they were testing the waters to see how quickly people would realize and if there would be a big fuss about it. So make sure to share this video and give it a like on social media. Hopefully they revert the changes, but only time will tell. But that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this, give it a like, and if you didn't, give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I will talk to you all again in the next video really soon.